Welcome to Whole Wheat Costa. Tonight at the beer table, Kevin has two IPAs that were in my refrigerator because he didn't have his wallet. I don't have anything to drink because I've already been drinking. Tonight I went out with my brother and we got dinner and I had some beers and I smoked a cigar and a half. It's Thursday instead of our typical Monday because Kevin needed to buy a new car.
Yeah, so this is hopefully the last of my bad decisions that I've
It
finally
will-
rectified.
It will not be the last of your bad decisions.
Well, my last in my string of 2 years of bad decisions that I'm trying to fix.
Real quick,
Yeah.
every year, like today, we get free 15-minute massages at work,
Oh.
and
oh.
I work with three other guys
Yeah.
in my department, and
You got a free 15-minute massage by Sven.
yeah, actually, his name's Ken, and he's awesome, and so the other three guys won't get massages,
Yeah.
and I told like the lady who's in charge of it, I was like, I've made a lot of bad mistakes in my life and a lot of bad choices, but turning down a free massage is not one of them.
I'll take their massage.
Yeah, I told them, I was like, well, it's, three, I'll just take an hour massage. It's great. But I've had this like little pain in my back,
Yeah.
and he put his knee in my, like right below my shoulder blade.
That was his D.
Yeah, probably. No, it was huge. So he's a small white guy. So I don't know. And he like pushed it in and it popped and it felt great. And I was like, oh, this is great.
Huh.
There's other people in the room. I wanted to make a weird noise, but it was a great decision. Free massage. Always take it up.
So that made me think totally unrelated about somebody that Kelly works with got for Sam these little shark shooter toys because I guess everyone knows he likes sharks or whatever.
Actually,
Yeah.
I know where the shark thing came from.
Yeah.
We were watching before he was born Sharknado, and now he's a shark baby.
So I think it was like it was a shark. It was something with that versus Mecha Shark.
Yeah, shark versus Sharknado versus Mecha Shark.
So the question was whether his spirit animal was a regular shark or a mecha shark, and what the implications would be if it were a mecha shark.
Yeah, but remember, sharks have been around for 400 million years, whereas mecha sharks only like a decade.
Yeah, so it was hard to say, but it was one of those like knockoff dollar store toys, and you kind of see them and you're like, oh, that's a stupid looking toy, but really like a little kid, nothing's a stupid looking toy.
Right.
Like these are basically little shark shaped guns that you put two ping pong balls in, and then it just had a little switch where it just popped them out. And Sam and Allie played with them for an hour and laughed hysterically the whole time. and they weren't even shark shooters. They were ocean animal shooters. I guess they couldn't get the rights to use the word shark.
So, yeah, like last week I was playing with Sam. Nobody else was in the room, and I dumped all his cars on the carpet, and Kelly comes in, and I go, Kelly, I didn't help Sam dump all his cars all over the room. And she's like, that means you did. And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah.
Sam will write you out in a second.
Yeah.
But
So we're Allison.
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think all kids will. They're honest, except for about themselves.
Yeah. So all the car stuff on Monday,
Right.
which is why we're doing this podcast on Thursday. So it's so easy to make such a bad car mistake. And I'm just nervous about buying any car now because I just feel like it's such a crapshoot. I mean, I'm sure there's people that bought Dodge Darts and have perfectly fine experiences, and then there's people like me where literally every system has slowly failed over the last 3.5 years that I've owned this car.
Right. The guy I work with, Mark, he
Yeah.
quit. He bought a Dodge Dart,
Yeah.
and he went back to his 89 Isuzu.
Yeah.
He was like, this Isuzu has 277,000 miles, and it works better than my brand new Dodge Dart.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Dart was around for 3 years in the 70s, and then they got rid of it, and it was around for now 3 years in the 2010s, and now I think it's gone again.
Yeah.
It's just a failure of a vehicle.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess for me, because I'm super impulsive, so I feel like any car you buy, it's like a crapshoot. Like there could be something manufacturing wrong with the car. But I feel like, I guess for me, it's I'm impulsive and I just I that looks like a cool car, and then I buy it. I guess my chances of buying a crap car are higher, but But I
How
mean,
fast does it go? Does it go really fast?
Exactly.
Go get the salesman's like, yes, sir, it goes really fast. He's like, it's the fastest of all the cars, and you're like, yeah,
It's
like
the
oh,
fastest.
yeah. You're like,
Fastest-ist?
"Woo." Yeah, he has an extra EST, and you're like, wow, he knows what
That's
he's
fucking
talking about.
fast.
Yeah. Does it turn red when it goes real fast? Yes, you just can't see it because you'll be in the car, and he
Yeah.
like winks at your wife, and and you're like, all right, I'll take it. But it was better than the Jetta you bought, which smelled like burning wires,
it smelled like crayons.
burning crayons.
Which I found out. I remember. Yes, I bought this like 2002 Jetta. This was like 2012. And like I just like I don't know. And again, I actually didn't even test drive it. My ex-wife test drove it. I drove in the back seat. We got out of the car. I was like, I want to get this car. and it was literally the only car we looked at this used car lot.
Right.
And I way overpaid for this piece of shit car. Yeah. But like I mean, it still ran fine for like a year or a couple of years maybe. And then like the electrical system started to fail. But I found out at one point. Because the one thing everybody got in the car, they were like, "Oh, it smells like crayons in here," and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, I mean, the car is 10 years old. Maybe like somebody had like crayons in the back seat, or like some crayons melted in here or something. And now it's like part of the car. Apparently, all old Jettas smell like crayons. Right. Apparently, there's something weird in the heating system that, as it ages, makes crayon smell.
My friend Nate, he had a Jetta. He was doing pizza deliveries, so it was like real good. And we were going, me and a bunch of guys, just to put this in perspective, I'm 5'11", 240 pounds, and I'm small compared to my friends, who 3 of them are 6'4", 360 pounds. And 2 of those guys, and me and Nate, who's my size, and Nate goes, I'll drive to the Phillies game. And we're like, you sure, Nate? So we all pack into this Jetta, and we pull out of my apartment complex, my old apartment, and we go over a speed bump, and the whole bottom of the car scrapes. And I'm like, let's get my car, which was like way bigger. And then I was the first one that got out, and the car was probably 6 inches off the ground. And I'm like, Nate, you should never drive. And then he drove it cross country, halfway across to Colorado, and he hit a rock. Yeah. And like the whole bumper ripped off. And he's like, I'm trading this in right now.
Yeah, no, so again, the super old Jetta, I mean, everything ran pretty, like all the engine stuff ran well. It was just the electrical stuff. Like when it would rain, I'd get like weird warning lights on. Like the car seemed to be working fine, but it made me nervous. I remember I was driving downtown and I was stopped at a stoplight.
Downtown Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only downtown.
Well, there's downtown Marlton.
Yeah, fuck Marlton.
There's every year in the summer they have the downtown Marlton Festival, and it's like Marlton's 3 square miles, and their downtown is 6 blocks.
Yeah, I guess
that's not much of a downtown. Yeah.
But I remember I was driving downtown, and I was stopped at a stoplight, and somebody knocked on the window, and I rolled I rolled down the window, and she was like, oh, your tailpipe's dragging on the ground. And then I was like, no, I didn't know. And then she was like, yeah, if you leave your window down, you'll hear it scraping. And I was like, I'll just keep my window up. That's okay. And then I drove away, and I got home, and my neighbor's like a car guy, and I just went over to him, and I was like, yeah, I was like, my tailpipe's falling off. And like I showed him, and I was like, do I need this? And he was like, not really. He's like, just, your car's going to be a lot louder. And I was like, okay. So I just ripped it off. And then he was like, yeah, probably just turn the radio up when you're driving. And I was like, sounds good. So the only thing that sucked is that I actually got all that stuff replaced right before I finally decided to finally get rid of the car and thinking I was going to get a more reliable car. I figured, I want to buy this brand new Dodge Dart. It's from a real car dealer. If there's any problems, I could just take it in. It'll get fixed. It'll be awesome. And I bought it from a scam of a car dealer instead, who literally, you drop it off at the service bay. They would take the car, You know, there were like 3 greasy seats to sit on. You know, this is like a big car dealer. You know, there's basically no service area. And then they'd be like, okay, well, we'll call you when there's an update. And then they'd, you know, send you across the street for a rental car. They need to have their own rental cars. They send you across the street to like another like an enterprise place.
Was this a week after you got the car?
I mean, this was within like a few months. Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time I had to do this. And then you get the rental car. The first time went fine. The other like 5 times in 3 years I had to take it into the shop. They essentially like they would call me the next day. They'd be like, "Oh, this is what's wrong with your car." But like, despite the fact that we're a Dodge dealer and we sold you this Dodge car brand new, I mean, we don't have the parts for it. We got to order them from like the factory. So we're gonna have it for like 3 or 4 more days. And then they would call me the next day. This is like every time. Then they call me the next day and be like, "Well, you know, we're looking into it, and like there was some road damage." Like, what do you mean there's road damage? It was like it's not nothing that comes in contact with the road. Like, well, I mean there was some road damage, so like it's not under warranty, so you're gonna have to pay for the repair. It's like $1,200. Oh, and we're not gonna pay for your rental car for the rest of the week while we hold your car hostage because we've taken it apart. But we don't have the parts to fix it. Sorry. And that was like every fucking time. Like it was absolutely the worst customer service ever.
Well, last week we changed your headlights,
Mm-hmm.
which were the world's most expensive headlights. And then what? The next day they were like out again.
3 days later. So then that's what finally pushed me over the edge. 'Cause I mean, essentially every non-essential system has been failing in this car over the last like 6 months. But I mean, you know, for headlights, I mean, you have the fun game of like, you know, trying to race home before it gets dark or whatever. Right. You know, I need to reliably drive at night sometimes, i.e. to do podcasts. But yeah, that was like sort of the final straw, because then I was looking it up and, you know, I figured like, oh, well, maybe like the headlights we put in, you know, maybe there was some issue with the headlights and it like blew the fuse or something. So I opened up the fuse box and I'm looking at the fuse diagram and I'm like reading all these things and I'm like, where the fuck are headlights? Like there must be a headlight fuse. The headlight is an electrical part. Ergo, it should go to the fuse box in some way. And after like a half hour of like standing out in the heat, like looking blankly at my fuse box, I looked up and apparently in a lot of modern cars, there's no fuse for the headlight. The headlight feeds right into the center control module thing.
That's not good.
Which is apparently the main computer of your car. So then in my head, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I'm gonna take you to this shitty ass dealer. They're gonna take it. They're gonna take it apart. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you need a new center control module. That's like $1,000. Also, it's road damage somehow, so you're gonna have to pay for it. And also, it's gonna take us 2 weeks to get the part in because like no one's ever had this problem before with your car.
Yeah.
So then I finally decided to cut my losses.
Yeah.
So I essentially paid another dealer $10,000 just to take the fucking car away.
Yeah. Why couldn't remember Christmas Eve? Why
Yeah.
couldn't your headlights not work that night when we had to go pick up Kelly's cousin from
Oh,
the
Jesus
end?
Christ.
It wasn't even Philadelphia County at that point. From one end of Philadelphia, we dropped off your son in Roxborough,
Yeah.
which is outside the city limits at this point.
Exactly. We basically went outside the city to the south. You know, so this is so it's Christmas Eve. My girlfriend's cousin's in town from California. She tells us, oh, you know, and she was from here originally, so she's like, oh, I want to go visit, you know, the people I know on the boulevard. They're like, I know Kevin's going on the boulevard. Can you drive? You know, meanwhile, it's Christmas Eve. You want to be with your family and stuff. You know, I already had to drive for like at least an hour to drop my son off, you know, the round trip.
And I got tremendously sick on the way there.
Yes. So we're like, okay, that's fine. So we find out that where she wants to go isn't actually where we're going on the boulevard.
Right.
So we make the half-hour trip. We basically go all as far south on the boulevard as the city goes, get out to Roxborough, drop him off, and then we're like, okay, where in the boulevard are you going? She was going north of the city on the boulevard.
We had to drop off in Roxborough, then travel 40 minutes to her.
Yes. We had to go from... Oh, that's right. We picked her up, right?
Yeah, we picked her
Oh,
up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. She wasn't even in the car. We dropped her off, and then we found out where we were going,
right.
and we put the address in the GPS. And I'm thinking it's like somewhere in the middle of the boulevard, like where we're going.
Yeah.
So we essentially went from the middle of the city, all the way like halfway through the city to south of the city, And then when we put in the address, we realized the address was north of the city on the boulevard. So we had to drive the entire length of the city on Christmas Eve, waiting to like get home to loved ones and shit to pick this person up.
We had to drive to your son 40 minutes, then to her 40 minutes, and then another 40 minutes to drop her off.
The exact opposite way, back to South Philly, back to like the southern part of the city.
Right.
And not only that, but when we actually got there, to pick her up, it took about 10 minutes to get out of the house, even though we called, like, told her we were coming.
Right.
Then she had to make a pit stop too. We had to drive like 10 minutes so she could like pick something up at her uncle's house or some shit. It was like just the most crazy, like rude person I've ever met.
She did not say thank you.
She didn't say a word in the car.
It was more like, thanks. We tried to talk to her, and then because we got so mad, we talked about like penis cancer the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were trying to like be polite and like talk and have a conversation. We're like, okay, well, we'll make the best of this. It's cool. We'll just, we'll at least, it's somebody none of us really know. Like I may have met her once before, so we'll like have a good conversation. And just like she just wouldn't talk. It was like really, I don't know. It was like the weirdest, most annoying thing. And then on the way to get her, we had to pull over in like a CVS parking lot. JD jumps out of the car. I'm like, and then I was like, oh, are you like peeing on the side of the car? Or are you like throwing up? And he's like, both. So he had like throwing up.
And then I went into the CVS to throw up and pee some more. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Stomach issues, whatever. So.
Oh, sorry. Kelly just called me mid-podcast, which I feel like she sort of knows we're podcasting, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
She wants to know if the gas station local has an air pump. The 7-Eleven does.
Yeah. So that was why'd your car work fine that night?
I know, right? That would have been the night for it to fail.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just, I just finished paying off all my other major bills, and I was like, oh, I don't want more long-term debt. But the sort of good news of it is that after I, paid someone basically the price of the car I was buying to take my old car away, then even though my car payment's slightly higher per month, this Toyota RAV4 I got is so much safer than the Dart that I'm paying something like $400 less per year in car insurance. So my reduction in car insurance payment actually made up for the little bit of extra I'm paying per month.
Plus the hundreds of dollars every month in repairs that you have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. My car I bought 3 years ago, and I was still like mad about it, like jokingly mad, but still mad about it. I wanted to get a Ford Fiesta, and my ex-wife, she goes, "Oh, the Ford Fiesta is real tiny. What if we have kids? We got to fit she's like, I want a car that can fit at least 2 car seats." And I was like, This does fit 2 car seats.
Yeah, it would fit 2 car seats. Yeah, pretty much any car can fit 2 car seats.
Yeah, and then, but she's like, yeah, but I want space in between the car seats. That back seat only fits 2 car seats, like shoulder to shoulder. I was like, what?
Just don't have fat friends.
And I was like, fine, whatever. Like that's fine. And then we'll get a bigger car. And then I came across this Saturn I have, and it's great. The price was great on it. It ran great. It was low miles and everything. And then like a couple months later, she left me, and I'm like, now I'm stuck with this fucking car I don't want. But it's a blessing in disguise because the car runs great. I've only had to put like $500 worth of work into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean not including tires, but like it was like a hub bearing. It was like I had to put like ball joints or whatever, and I got someone to do that for me, and those cars are known for that. So I'm not mad at it. I mean, I've been paid off for like a year and a half, so I don't have a car payment, and it still runs great. So like, and I'm still like, I still want that Ford Fiesta.
Yeah. That would be the cool thing, not to have a car payment. I mean, essentially, I didn't kill myself in the short term, but in the long term, I mean, I just, instead of having another 2 years of paying off my car, I have 6 years to pay off this car now. But I essentially, if you break it down, out of the total cost that I paid for this car, and I actually got a car 1 year older than my current car, but it was a Toyota from a dealer that I bought from before then. It was like a good work with dealer. About I would say about 2/5 of the total cost I paid for this car were to pay for the car, and then about 2/5 were to pay off the Dart, and then about a whole like 1/5 of the total cost was warranty. I got the most fucking warranties I could possibly get on this car. So like if anything happens in the next 3 years, I don't have to pay for it. I just needed like some financial stability, like some promise somewhere that like everything was gonna be fine.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's one of like the certified used cars. So I'm pretty sure like the fact that it's just a certified used car, you pay like way more for it than a regular used car. And then I got the extra warranties on top of that.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a good metaphor though, because I feel like this Dodge Dart was a good metaphor for like where I was at in life, because I got the limited edition. So essentially it's it's like a fair, the base model Dart's a fairly cheap, smaller car. And then I got like the souped up edition with like the leather heated seats and the backup camera and the satellite radio and the touchscreen and the bigger tires and like all this other shit. And I just feel like it was a good metaphor for where I was at that point, because like I was very like style over substance at that point.
Right.
Like
It's like during the whole time, pardon the pun, but you were like dodging and darting creditors
Yes.
the whole time. You were, and now that you pay off all your major bills,
Yeah.
you get something more reliable and everything. Creditors for 3 years.
Yeah.
And now that you get rid of that. You get rid of that burden. You get rid of some major bills burden. Now you have like a nice family vehicle, and you're like,
Now I'm RAV4 in them.
yeah. I don't know. I figured that pun would fit.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely was a very like style over substance car. Like when I bought it, I was like, oh, this looks really cool. It was fun to drive. Had all the it looked like expensive, like it looked fancy. But the base of the car was shit. So it was basically like a really tricked out Pinto is like what the car was basically. And ultimately all the inside parts were terrible. Right. I don't know. It makes me think of like Dell computers, which ironically I've had multiple Dell computers in my life.
Asus, like my laptop,
Yeah.
they did a lot of parts for Dell.
Yeah. Well, what Dell does, or what they used to do, I don't know if it's still true, but I'm assuming they would stick with the business model because it's worked this far, is, I mean, they sell you what they say they're selling you, but they make it as cheaply as possible. So if you buy like an i7, like 16 gigs of RAM, like, $100, $300 graphics card sort of computer from them, I mean, you'll get that. But it'll be made as cheaply as possible. So it'll be like soldered poorly, and like it'll be made in the poorest part of Bangladesh. Like we'll make all the parts. So for a little while it'll do what it says it's gonna do, and then eventually everything's will just start to fail and it just falls apart. And like that's the knock on them, and that's essentially what this Dodge Dart was.
I just read or watched a video. It's called it was called the processor lottery.
Yeah.
That the processor is made out of silicone, which is sand or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Silicone, I guess.
Yeah.
And they were talking about these processors. All the parts are microscopic.
Yeah.
So you can get an i7 processor, and they're manufactured within tolerances and everything. But when you're talking about a microscopic differences,
Yeah.
between heat and being put together and everything, those microscopic differences can really matter whether it fails or it works.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, even though it's in tolerance,
Yeah.
it's so small that can really. It was a pretty cool article. I think everyone should look it up.
Yeah, no, that's the whole Dell / American car maker thing is like, you sell somebody, a 2-liter, Tiger Shark engine is like what the Dart had, the sort of overpowered engine for as big
Tiger
Shark engine it was called, real fancy sounding,
right.
for as small as the car was. But if it's made poorly, then like, yeah, I mean, it's going to fail eventually. And that's, I don't know, versus like, so part of what made me think of getting a Toyota and part of what made me think about going to this dealer was that, the first new car I ever bought when I was in college, I bought a Toyota Yaris from this dealer that my ex-wife still drives 10 years later. It was 2007. and as far as I know, it's never had a problem.
Yeah.
You know, well, it had one problem, and I took it into the dealer. I sat in a comfortable chair in a brightly lit like waiting area, and they fixed it in like 2 hours. Versus like my you know my Dodge dealer story. So, and that's like exactly what I told the guy when I showed up. I was like, I bought a car from you guys like 10 years ago. This is my experience. It was awesome. I'd like to buy another car from you guys. It says is essentially what I told them.
Oh.
So, and then I told them where I bought my other car, and the guy like rolled his eyes immediately. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, you shouldn't have done that. So, and I mean, I guess everyone talks shit about their competitors, but like, I don't know. I've just heard too many things.
I did have a Dodge one time, a Dodge Spirit. It was like a '94 Dodge Spirit, one of the best cars I ever bought, until it started having fuel problems.
Yeah.
And then like I spent like $600 twice to get it fixed, and still want it fixed. And I was like, no, this car's not worth it.
Well, that was the issue. You know, and it's a shame. But I think the Dart was a bad car, but then I was also buying from a bad dealer on top of it, really compounded things. Because yeah, I had an issue where when the car was due for an oil change, it would just shut off, and just shut off mid driving. And I took it to the dealer 2 times, and they kept telling me they fixed it, and then it happened again. And finally, the solution was I had to change my oil. I had to change my fully synthetic oil in a 2 or 3 year old car every 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
$80.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know. Because because with fully synthetic oils, it's 7,500 or is it 15,000? Yeah. It's like some ridiculous number that like you're supposed to have to change the oil at.
Yeah, my mom bought a brand new car, and the oil change was supposed to be every 18,000.
Wow.
500 miles.
Why?
And she, hold on,
That's a
we'll
lot.
get into that.
Yeah.
For the first
18,500.
18,500
Yeah.
miles, every oil change, for the first 3 oil changes.
Yeah.
And then she didn't realize that, and then like the oil is turning black,
Yeah.
and then says 4,500 miles after the first 3 oil changes. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Engine seized up, and I'm like, Mom, you got to read these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like it's a ridiculous number, like 15,000 or something.
Right.
For certain cars.
On a new car, synthetic, yeah, there's not much wear and tear.
Yeah, but I don't know. That like makes me nervous. I feel like I would never go that long, even with a new car and fully synthetic oil and stuff. But I don't know. But yeah. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'll get through the 6 years of paying off this car with sort of minimal issues.
Well, I mean, you can start. Once you get past, you could probably start making double payments or something.
Yeah.
Or just add in more.
What's the thing? I always find it hard when you have like a long-term loan like that to make like extra payments because like it doesn't feel like anything.
Right.
Like when I finally broke out of my real bad debt cycle recently, the first thing I did was pay off my like one like I paid off my lowest interest loan, which is like stupid because like. I mean, I was paying $50 a month for it,
Right.
but I owed like I only owed like $1,000 more on it. So I was like, let me just pay it off and like accomplish something.
Yeah, but
but
that's the thing though. When you make the double payments, you have your interest and all that, but you're also when you make like a payment not on your payment schedule,
Yeah.
that goes straight to principal.
Yeah.
That doesn't go to interest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing is the frustrating thing about having this, about trading this car in for like 3 or 4 years. I was probably getting at the point where like most of my payments were going to principal, and like I've been just paying interest probably mostly for a bunch of years.
Yeah, that's how I paid my car off. I paid an extra $100, and
Yeah.
that $100 added up,
Yeah,
and it just went straight to principal.
yeah, like with that or like with a mortgage payment, like it feels silly to put extra money on because like I don't know. $100,000 to $200,000 like feels like just such an abstract thing.
You're like, what's an extra $300?
Yeah, it's like nothing.
And then 15 years later, like, yeah, it's your last mortgage. You're like, what?
Yeah,
because you get caught up like a mortgage. Only half of your mortgage payment is actually principal.
I mean, in the beginning, it's way less than that.
Right. The first year,
yeah.
they say the first year you only pay interest, and then the last year you only pay principal.
Yeah. But I don't know. But anyway, so we're trying to make better decisions is the bottom line.
Yeah, I think we all are, but
Yeah.
they say you learn from your mistakes, but
Yeah, but I made like a shit ton of mistakes in like a very short period of time. Like I lived a big chunk of my life like with minimal mistakes, and then I was like, let me just do all the mistakes right now.
Yeah.
Just in the next 2 or 3 years, I'm making every fucking mistake you could possibly
didn't-
make. We're doing them all in a row.
You didn't murder anyone on accident, so that's good.
Yeah.
You still have
On
that.
accident.
Well, it's Northeast Philly, so
Yeah.
you probably just murdered someone. You've probably ran someone over in either Northeast Philly or South.
I mean,
Philly.
we can't even say. I mean, honestly, being in the medical field. I've unintentionally, I'm sure contributed to somebody's death. Like, I'm sure I've technically murdered somebody by accident.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Well-
I've made essentially all the mistakes.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's only urology.
yeah,
But
I don't know. So that was like basically only main topic for this week, and then we had some Game of Thrones.
yeah. Which Euron will be dead by the time this gets
Yeah.
posted because I don't know. Like I said last week, tons of work going to this and that you don't know about. But after first couple episodes, it must get easier.
yeah, I would think so.
So yeah, and the thing about it is, you don't like. I just graduated in May, and people are like, "You must have a lot of free time," and you don't really have a lot of free time because you just try to catch up on all the things you missed while going to school. Like I
Yeah.
went to school for 8 years and worked, on and off, but the last 3 years, like I went to school and I worked like 50 hours a week most
Yeah.
of the time, 50, 60 hours a week. So I miss out on a lot of stuff. So like I'm trying to catch up and I miss out on things. And now like people are like, "You're going to go for your master's?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so," because I can't, the field I picked, I have to get my master's. So for the last, 2 months, I've been going to like different schools, visiting them, going to information sessions and it's like there's no relaxation time. So like finding time to like edit the podcast or doing stuff I want to do, like people are like, "You have tons of free time." I'm like, "I don't have any free time. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? I don't have any free time or money."
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be able to take a breather. I feel like it's a little scary though when you're used to like not having any time because like I know for me like when I first got divorced and stuff. I mean, I was working and any free minute I had, I was at my second job. So I mean, I was working like basically 60 hours every week. And I was it was like work every weekend a little bit, and then some nights I would leave my first job and just go right to my second job, and I was doing that for a while, and then I sort of like broke through that first sort of paywall and like got through all the initial major bills and losses and stuff, and then I had maybe like 6 months where I could like take a little bit of a breather and like I still worked on the weekends, but I stopped working the stop doing the after work stuff, and it felt really awesome. But like after working so much, like I almost felt guilty. Like when I was only working like 50 hours a week, I was like, oh, like I would feel guilty, like I was lazy or something. But then when I had another, over the last, I guess 7 or 8 months, when I had another like huge bill I had to pay off and I had to work my ass off again, like it was tough to get back into the rhythm of like, of working 12 days in a row and shit, and now I'm at the point where like I could cut back a little bit. Like I don't really want to yet because I mean I've accrued a lot of debts, new debts over that time. Like I could cut back a little bit, but I'm just like I'm nervous too. Like I don't know at what point like I'm going to be comfortable saying, okay, I'm just going to work, I'm just going to work like 2 or 3 extra days a month, not at least the 4 days extra a month that I'm working now, and stuff like that. Like I don't know when I'm going to like feel okay to do that.
Right. So.
But but it's all the Game of Thrones stuff though. So our issue is
The first week I didn't like Euron. Second week I liked Euron.
I fucking loved Euron since the first week. The throne room scene where he makes fun of Jaime, awesome. But I think our problem though. So last week, we normally do this on Mondays, and last week it was right after Game of Thrones. It was the next day. I had all these strong opinions, and now this week it's like a few days later. I honestly forget a lot of what happened in the episode. And I didn't think it was a bad episode. I thought it was okay. And I've watched like a bunch of different podcasts about it. It's now like I don't even know what my opinions are anymore. Like I pretty much know what Preston Jacobs has told me to think at this point.
I think the cool part is that at the end, the I guess Yara
Yeah, I think
Fleet
she's
is
Yara in there.
Yara Fleet is going to the desert place.
Yeah, they're going to Dorne. I think
They're going to Dorne,
basically to pick up the Dornish
and
army.
then Euron Fleet crashes into him.
Yeah,
Euron comes down on like this big
on
teeter.
that Corvus.
Yeah, the Corvus.
Yeah,
And crushes a man, and like
Awesome.
he like
It's an awesome
screams
scene.
with like an axe, and he starts killing people. I'm like, oh my god, I could never do that. I would do what Theon did. I would just instantly
Yep.
jump off a boat and swim.
Well, that's the one thing. And I just read this in an article right before we started. I wanted to review what happened. Like I wanted to read episode synopsis because I kind of forgot some of the scenes. I couldn't remember if there's any I had like really strong feelings about when I watched them. But they pointed out in the article, which I thought was really true, was that, you know, one of the great things about Game of Thrones cinematographically. I don't know.
We'll make up more words
Yeah.
tonight.
One of the great things about Game of Thrones cinematography was is that how they filmed some of the battle scenes. You know, basically, I mean, every battle scene has looked different than previous battle scenes.
Right.
You know, because they bring in a different director, they take a different take on it, and some of them are just spot on. And like in this scene with the silence crashing into their into the the other Greyjoy flagship,
Right.
and that Corvus flying down, and Euron jumping off. I mean, it was such like complete like chaotic madness. And I mean, the scene was the embodiment of Euron Greyjoy's character. Like it
Right.
was just, I mean, it was just directed perfectly.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could talk a lot of shit about where the show's gone story wise, but then there's just some like sequences like that are just they just do them perfectly.
Yeah,
And I guess a lot of it's the guest directors they bring in, but to like recognize like pick the right guy to do that is a lot of talent even on like the showrunners end. And I like too. I watched a little bit. I don't know. Everybody was sort of talking in the background. I was trying to cook the other day, and I was watching from HBO a sort of an analysis of that scene. They were talking about filming it, and they were talking about how Euron ship the Silence is supposed to be like 4 or 5 times larger than like any other ship in his fleet.
It was huge.
Yeah, like it's like supposed to be this ridiculously like symbolically overpowered flagship, and how they were trying to figure out how to plan out the scene and just crashing right in to Yara and Theon's flagship. I don't know. It was just a great scene. And then I came across a Facebook page, and it was Euron Greyjoy Thought Destroyer, because probably the Sand Snakes are the worst characters in the entire series.
Right. And he kills them all, and you're like, all right,
Kills
cool.
them all.
He didn't wear any armor,
Yeah.
and he kept getting whipped, and he's like, ow, ow.
Yeah.
Like he's screaming. He's like, he doesn't care. And I just think like that, him coming off of that, like screaming, holding an axe, like he's the only man, and you're like, and I didn't like, I thought he was like, it was terrible casting. I'm like, he's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's awesome.
like I actually like raised my, like I was laying in bed, I like sat up and I clapped, and I was like,
Pillow Assback, I believe is his name.
no.
His name is Pillow Assback. Look it up.
All right. Yeah. So I think that that scene just like it sold me. You know, it's like it's a lot of work for a little bit of payoff, but it was a lot of work for a lot of payoff.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome. But I don't know. He neither wanted the good girl nor wanted the bad pussy.
All right.
So, which was the worst line ever. I don't know. I liked the one after that line back in like season 5. The one Game of Thrones review afterwards. Pointed out all the stuff like DB Weiss, master's degree in English literature from Trinity College in Dublin, and they went through like all their credentials and stuff, and then they were like created this line. You want the good girl, but you need the bad pussy. Like, I don't know, the dumbest line in Game of Thrones history, said by one of the worst characters.
All right.
I don't know.
So
Are you looking up? Are you looking up
Yeah.
the Pillow Assback?
that's his nickname, Pillow. The pronunciation is Pilu Asbeg.
Pillow Assbag?
So it's Johann Philip Pilu Asbeg. I think.
Wait, so his name's actually Johann, and then there's a Philip in there, and he went with Pillow Asback as his name.
Yeah.
That was his chosen name.
Yeah, John Philip Asbag. He's from Denmark.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of Denmark,
Yeah.
Monday, one of my good friends, Torben,
Yeah.
who's from Denmark.
Yeah.
He's been here like 20 years, 30, I think 30 years now. He's been here since he's 20. I think he's 50 something.
Yeah.
He's a baker. He celebrates all the American holidays.
Yeah.
It's great.
Including Flag Day. He throws a wild ass Flag Day
He
party.
does. Flags everywhere in his garden.
Yeah.
Yours was a joke.
Yeah.
Mine was not. I've been there. I swear to you. He is having his 3rd annual cheesecake night for National
I
Cheesecake
didn't tell
Day.
him it was Torben Cheesecake Night.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
it's
excited now.
Yeah, so National Cheesecake Day is Sunday.
Yeah.
But he figures nobody would want to come out for Cheesecake Day on Sunday, I guess, or he's
Why would you
doing
think
something.
that? Is that like a Norwegian thing?
So-
like people like Norwegians don't eat cheesecake on Sundays?
Danish, not Norwegian. But
You know what they say? Danes don't eat cheesecakes on Sunday.
yeah, that was the national motto for a while. But Hitler was like, no.
No, cheesecakes on Sundays.
Yeah.
Only on Sundays.
So they had to change it so they didn't get invaded. But,
I feel like it's gonna come on a future podcast.
yeah.
Like 100 podcasts from now, we're gonna have like a big following, and some douchebag is gonna make the comment, and like every one of our episodes, like, oh, the Danes don't eat cheesecakes on Sunday. We're like, fuck you, guy. We're like, fuck you, guy, in the comments.
So he makes. I've been to both of them. He makes like 20 different cheesecakes, and then other people bring their cheesecake. One year he made now this is funny, sage and cheese cheesecake.
Huh.
It was different cheeses in a cheesecake with sage, and you're like, oh, that's disgusting, but it was delicious.
I bet it was good. I'm gonna bring Danishes.
Yeah. So he's
I'm like, oh, I heard your people like these.
he's having his National Cheesecake Day on Monday, a day late. It almost unacceptable, but what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? So we're gonna go there Monday before the podcast, then have something to talk about. We're gonna eat a ton of cheesecake.
I'm
Hope-
probably gonna go there and eat something different because it's not cheesecake day anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, fuck you, Torben. This is America. We eat cheesecakes on Sundays.
But no, well, he only has cheesecake, so but you can bring Danish.
I'm gonna bring Danishes.
You'd be like, well, I thought it was your national food, so I was trying to be polite. So hopefully Kevin doesn't wear his disgusting white T-shirt he's wearing now.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring Danishes. I'm gonna wear my clogs and windmills and shit or whatever they do there.
You should bring Danish with like a Danish flag on it.
I'm gonna sing the Danish national anthem. I want to learn it.
So we're very excited to go travel to this Danish festival.
It could be the first podcast on location.
It won't, but
The first podcast after a location.
yeah. Because there's probably going to be like 30 people there in the small bungalow house.
Yeah, people are just grabbing the microphone and like singing Danish songs,
They're-
Danish swear words into the
They're
microphone.
actually he is part of Viking Club, the Danish Viking Club, which is pretty cool. You've met him. He does not fit the profile of a Viking.
Yeah.
5'2", 5'3", 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's just like a little Viking.
yeah, he's like the Viking that got water for
Yeah.
all the bigger
Yeah.
Vikings. So
Excuse me, sir. I have your spiked helmet.
yeah, but no, we're excited about that. So that's gonna be fun.
I want to join the Viking Club with Torben.
Are you Danish?
I mean, could be.
Uh,
I really want to do that profile thing. Did you see that, like that DNA profile?
oh,
thing?
DNA. Yeah.
Yeah. What if I'm like totally fucking Danish?
Yeah.
And I'm like Torben, brother,
Yeah.
or whatever that is in Danish.
Yeah. So I want to get it done, but I know other people with my nationality, like they come out and they're like 14% Middle Eastern. What?
Yeah.
And because my father was Italian, and they always put it Italian and Sicilian
Yeah.
because for a long time Sicily wasn't part of Italy apparently. And Italy's such a mixed bag of races from
Yeah.
back in the day that I could have it could come back like Middle Eastern or Mongolian.
The conquest of Suleiman the Great.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast, and the guy, he got it done, and he's half Native American, but
Huh.
it didn't come back any Native American.
Huh.
It came back Mongolian.
He's a liar.
No, it came back Mongolian. Then he did research
Yeah.
that the Indians came from Mongolia.
Huh.
Like they crossed the Bering Strait. Like that's where a lot of Indians come from.
Cool.
Mongolia. Or sorry, not Indians, Native Americans.
What if you're old Middle East now and be like, I'm gonna do this podcast with the fucking Moor? This is ridiculous.
Well,
Go back to Spain.
a lot of Sicilians are part Moor when the Moors
Yeah.
took over Sicily. Are the Moors from Spain? I thought they were from Africa.
I think they got as far as like Iberia.
Right. But aren't they from Africa?
Yeah, they're from Africa.
Yeah, so
So
Middle East. It's like I get it back. Irish, Middle Eastern. What?
yeah. I mean, I feel like it'd be okay. You can tell people like, well, I mean, I don't look black, but I got this Moor penis.
I have a more penis. We call it more penis. It's just lots of skin, but
Yeah.
it's not functional.
Yeah, just real sad. It's terrible. It's real
Only the
saggy.
first 4 inches is functional, but you know.
It's all you need.
We were talking about. I went to see Dunkirk last night, and very good.
What's it
movie.
about?
The Battle of Dunkirk.
Okay, makes
yeah.
sense.
All right.
Checks out.
And we were talking about Zeus. And, like I bring up Zeus a lot because I like reading about Zeus and everything.
Yeah.
And his my one friend makes a joke like, yeah, his fertility must be like 100%. And I was like, yeah, he's shooting lightning bolts. And we were talking about how there's like different stories of Zeus. Like he puts babies in his head and his thigh. And there's, I think it, the demigod that gave Midas his power. I think it's that one. He got that demigod's mother pregnant,
Yeah.
and she was mad. She's like, "I want to be with you. I want to see your face." And he's like, "Well, you can't see my face. I'm Zeus. You see my face, you're gonna die." She's like, "I want to see your face," and she was like pregnant.
Yeah.
So he beat her near to death, and then he's like, "You want to see my face? Fine." So after he beat her near to death, he showed her face, and she died. But she was still with baby. The baby was alive. So he like took the baby out of her.
Yeah.
He cut open his thigh, and he sewed the baby into his thigh until term.
Huh.
And I'm like, Zeus is a bad guy. Yeah. Not only is he like a prolific rapist,
Yeah.
he's also like a murderer.
It's like a
He's-
little rapey.
Yeah. She said, "I want to see your face, or I'm going to tell your wife," which is Hera.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "No," and then beat her near to death.
You can't be telling people's wives things.
Yeah. 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 The cheating's bad, especially when you rat on someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, well, Zeus is a bad guy, but he is shooting lightning bolts. And if you want to get pregnant, you just call on Zeus.
Yeah, I don't know much about like the Greek pantheon. I don't know.
Is that one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world?
What's that? The
Pantheon?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the gods.
Yeah, but no, but there was like a place that like
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the well are the seven ancient are the 7 ancient wonders the 7 wonders that like you could like the pyramids like that you could still see today?
Well, it's like the pyramids, the gardens of Babylon, a bunch of other things.
The Colossus.
Yeah,
the
and
Rhodes.
the only thing that still exists
pyramids,
is the
right?
pyramids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's the 7 modern.
Yeah.
Which is the Great Wall of China, which is also pretty ancient.
Well,
Not ancient, but
but I mean, so in comparison, I mean, you know, the like the crazy fact, like the timeline. I mean, so the pyramids were, you know, like the one fact I was like, you know, the pyramids were more ancient to Rome than Rome is to us. I mean, that's
Right.
how old they are. I mean, that's
Right.
ridiculous. I don't know. I liked extra credit. I don't know if we talked about this last week. Extra
we
credit.
talk about extra credits every week.
We don't talk about every week, but they're talking about the Bronze Age collapse series. Did we talk about that already?
Right, yeah. Okay, so we have the ancient, which
Yeah.
is the gardens and everything, and then the modern is like the pyramids in the Great Wall, the Taj Mahal, the Colosseum, Machu Picchu. Those are the modern
Yeah,
ones.
those all still stand.
Yeah, Chichen Itza. Christ the Redeemer.
I saw the Chichen Itza.
Yeah, Chichen Itza, and Christ the Redeemer, which is something.
It's in Brazil.
Yeah, they tried to get a zip line from that,
Yeah.
and that's like, what? You can't put a zip line on like Christ's head.
I don't know. Is that like really impressive to be one of the modern wonders? Is that really saying? I mean, it's just a big statue. Does that stand up to those other things?
I don't know, but I mean, I guess it would really depend when it was made. So
Yeah.
let's see when it was made.
Yeah, for real. Did we talk about the Bronze Age collapse last week? Because I think
Yes.
it's a fascinating topic. We did talk
Oh,
about it.
It was completed in 1931. That's not.
Yeah, that's
that
not that
good.
ancient.
Oh, designated.
Yeah. Is that a yes? We talked about the Bronze Age collapse.
Yes, we did.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
disappointing. I would totally talk about it again. I don't know. Yeah, that's like one thing I'd like to do more reading about.
All right.
But
No, we didn't. We talked off mic.
okay. Oh yeah. So the Bronze Age collapse is awesome. So extra history. Which I feel like there hasn't been one. I don't know if it just feels like a long time. I feel like there hasn't been one in a couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on. So the Bronze Age collapse was the last series they did. I just think it's such a crazy fascinating topic because, so we're talking about basically like, essentially sort of prehistory sort of civilization. Like we have really scant records on them because it's so long ago. We're talking, thousands of years before like, even like ancient Rome basically.
Well, did you hear about the crazy fact about Rome that they
that?
used concrete, and then once Rome collapsed, they didn't use concrete again for 1,000 years?
Yeah, there's a ton of crazy facts, but
Yeah.
but I feel like most people know about you had 500 years or I guess longer of 1,000 years essentially of Rome, in some form or another, the republic and the dictatorship and stuff. So you had that, and then we had basically 1,000 years of dark ages where basically things didn't progress, and then you had the Renaissance where knowledge reawakened. I think everyone knows about that, but that isn't the first time it's happened, and that's what's crazy, because a few thousand years before Rome, so pyramid sort of time, you had the Egyptians, you had the Babylons, you had some sort of Persian kingdom, you had like the Mycenaeans in Greece, and these were major Rome-like empires that existed thousands of years before Rome, and they all collapsed the same way Rome did. And they all collapsed within the span of like 40 years, basically. Like they disappeared.
Right.
And it's just scary to think about that. That it's so cyclical that civilization builds up to a certain like critical mass point, and then just some link in the chain breaks, and it just disappears.
Right.
And it'd be one thing if it just happened to Rome, you could say, oh well, that's weird that it happened to Rome. But it didn't just happen to Rome. It's happened at least twice that we know about.
Right.
And I mean, I guess who even knows if maybe there were more ancient civilizations we just don't know about.
Well, it might. I've always believed that maybe not in my lifetime, but soon it's going to happen again because we're so
could.
connected. We're so connected by technology,
Yeah.
and everybody, since the 50s have talked about, since 1945 have talked about nuclear war.
Yeah.
And if anything like that happens, there's going to be survivors, but I won't be able to talk to my friend in Colorado without like that communication. Like,
Yeah.
and it could happen where even 1,000 miles apart, we're going to have trouble communicating, and we're going to lose so much technology and so much infrastructure that it's going to take generations to rebuild.
Or maybe 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That's how long it's taken the other times.
Yeah, 10, 15 generations just to even start rebuilding that. Like, you have to start with farming.
Yeah.
And then you have to start with making communities and getting enough people, and then it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the idea with the Bronze Age collapse is that you had these really top-down civilizations where you had these strong monarchs that organized this very complex society. You had all the roles we have today. You had traders. You had like a essentially modern military. You had people that were trained warriors. In chariot warfare. That were expensive to maintain and train and everything. And you had this, complex irrigation systems, and you had complex trade between civilizations. The idea that even so this was the Bronze Age, and bronze isn't a super easy thing to make. So even just to make bronze, basically the namesake of the age, you had to trade with other civilizations because tin's super rare. So you had this basically, worldwide, as far as they knew of the world at that time, which is, basically Eurasia. You had this worldwide, interconnected multi-empire thing going on. And then essentially, a few pieces got taken out of the wall and the whole thing collapsed. And once the top was gone, then there was nothing, the bottom just fell apart.
And for the second time tonight, I have to bring out Vikings, and you have to learn about the
Like
history.
Torben.
Yeah, you have to learn about the history of Vikings. That there's so many misconceptions. What helped bring this modern civilization together was Vikings, because Viking is just their sea, like they were the traders at the time.
Yeah.
They would go from ports to ports trading. So if you think about it, like without Vikings, where would we be? Because there's so much history. There's so much Viking history, and people are stuck on the raping and pillaging and everything. But that was a small percentage of Vikings. The rest of them would trade between different, different small republics and everything. And that's pretty much what helped us bring us through to the Renaissance.
Yeah, well, that's actually so the Bronze Age collapse. One of the things is that the sea peoples is what they call them, like basically invaded a lot of the mainland areas, and Egypt was basically the only empire that didn't fall to the sea peoples. But it's like there's no evidence of who the sea peoples were. If they were some like foreign invader that they just didn't know how to fight off, or if they were just like basically refugees from like other kingdoms. That once the food shortages started, that basically were trying to survive, and there's no mention of the sea peoples after the Bronze Age collapse. It just disappears. Like there's the sea peoples, society collapses, then nothing. Then there's no mention of them ever again.
Right.
So, but it just I don't know. I just think the whole thing is just really creepy because there's just such big implications for like. Our probably near future.
Right. We're at a tipping point.
Yeah.
And like no matter who you are, like if you argue we're not at a tipping point, you haven't watched the news.
Yeah. But I did like I don't know who the maester was talking to Sam about that where
the Grand Maester was talking about Sam,
yeah.
like we thought it was the end of the world all these times, but it never came.
Yeah, it wasn't. So some people thought it was Maester Marwyn, who's like the guy that's in like magic and all that stuff in the books, but it was actually the different Maester, is who was credited as in the show. He was like the Maester that was like into like healing and stuff. But yeah, I thought that was a great speech. That basically like, people every generation people think the world's coming to an end. Essentially, what he said, and it hasn't been true. Which is like comforting. The thing about that. But it's also false because obviously 2 times already in the last 10,000 years, civilization has completely and utterly collapsed. Like gone back to the Stone Ages twice. Right. It's happened twice. So, I mean, it's probably going to happen again at some point.
Yep. And so that's this week's whole week Costa.
Oh, that